हेलो जी, नमस्ते जी, कैसे हो आप सब लोग? Now we are back with another episode of Life of a CA series where we bring chartered accountants who are working in different profiles, different sectors of the industry, and we tell you how they are living their lives. So if you want to live that kind of a life, you can take a well informed decision. Yeah, before we proceed to the video, I have a few things to talk about. So, one thing that I wanted to ask you all, a lot of people have requested me to make the video completely in English, which is why I'm sticking to absolute English for this. If you think that these videos should have Hindi subtitles, or maybe I should speak in Hindi, or you know what my favorite is? My favorite is English, where I can be comfortable with Hindi and English both, because that is what brings out the best in me, I feel. So, anyway, but I want to make what works for you, not what works for me. So, I'll be flexible to your requirements. So, tell me if you want me to switch the language or anything, I'll do it. Right now this video will be mostly in English, so yes, so that it is accessible and comprehensible to all. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, यार बहुत समय से देख रही हूँ, a lot of views are coming, like a lot of people are watching these videos, which is great. I am loving the response, honestly. But you guys are not telling me anything. You guys are not communicating with me. Why don't you tell me in the comments? Video अच्छा लगा, you found the video good. Video बुरा लगा, you didn't find it was nice, or something as simple as okay, I want this profile next. Tell me, yaar, I'm waiting for your comments. Come on, tell me. Okay, that was enough of begging. Yes, so let's move forward with the video. Before that, one more thing. सब्सक्राइब करो चैनल को, सब्सक्राइब टू द चैनल, लाइक तो कर ही दोगे पसंद आया तो, कमेंट करो वो मैंने ऑलरेडी बोल दिया है. एंड यस 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 यस, एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज यार, I want to introduce our today's speaker to you. So today, like you know, we will be talking about this less charchit profile, which is management consultancy. Do you guys even know that management consultancy exists for the CAs and CAs who have not done their MBAs? Did you even know that okay, chartered accountants can also go into management consultancy? You didn't, right? I also didn't. Until now. So I came up with this video exclusively for you. Also, we have Saurabh Paul with us today, who is an experienced professional into strategy consulting, management consulting. He has also been into brand and business development into a certain private bank, and he has so much knowledge to share with you all. It's going to be a blast. We have an awesome presentation for you that will clear all your doubts, that will give you new avenues to explore. And Saurabh is a CA, and later on, he also went to do his MBA. So, definitely, his knowledge, your benefit. Keep up and stay tuned for the video till the end. In the end, we discuss about how professionals can venture into this and what kind of professionals venture into this profile. So stay tuned. Let's start the session. Hello and welcome to today's video, guys. We have a guest today who will be telling you everything that he has been through in his professional journey of 6 years. He's a chartered accountant plus an MBA, and he will be telling you everything about management consultancy. Let me welcome Saurabh Paul to our today's video, and let's hear from the man himself about his professional journey. So, welcome, Saurabh. And what has your professional journey been like till now?
Hi, Bhavna. Thanks for the welcome. Hi, guys. So, basically, I am a chartered accountant and an MBA, like Bhavna mentioned. I have been an entrepreneur, I have been a banker, and currently I am a consultant. I have worked as a management consultant as well as strategy consultant. So with today's video, I want to bring my experience and introduce you to the field of management consultancy. I hope I will be able to answer some of your questions. In this is a very big field. If I can give you 2 to 5% of this field, I think we will be very happy with today's content.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. This is a field that is so vaguely defined. I mean, there are so many blurry lines to it that are. Can you just do it with a CA, or do you have to do an MBA to get into it? And what are the exact fields that you want to get into? So, guys, this, what are the exact fields, how much does it pay, what are the opportunities, how much growth is there, what kind of skills you require, what is the way for you to reach there. We'll talk everything about that in this video, so stay tuned and watch till the end, because in the end we'll be taking this section where we'll talk about how you can get into this profile and what kind of skills you will require. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go down and subscribe and leave a comment on this video. So let's start with the session for today. And let me just share my screen. All right. So, yes, Saurabh, if I talk about management consultancy, what is it exactly?
So, as you can see from the name, it stands for management and consulting. Now, who are the management of a company? We are catering to corporates, organizations. So, for a management, it stands for CXOs. And I think that's the dream for every professional who starts to work with CXOs or to be a CXO in a longer run. Now, who are these CXOs? CXOs can be CEO of a company, CFO of the company. There are CEOs, CMOs for marketing, CHRO for HR, and CTOs for technology. But right now, these designations are also evolving. These days, there is a chief strategy officer of the company whose job is to have some vision. Now, as a consultant, your work is to come as a third party independent person and give your viewpoints and your expertise to these people as per your skill set across the industries. So we'll go and talk about what are the industries and how you can do about it. But this is basically what management consulting is, to make sure that the top cadre of the company gets what they need and you are able to solve their problems.
So, if I talk about management consultancy, it's anything to do with basically consulting, right? To put it in absolute layman terms, any consultancy or any expertise of your area that you're providing to others in a company or in your own venture or something, that will be called as management consultancy, and it can be in the field of technology, finance, business, operations, supply chain management, marketing, HR, and people who are working into these fields. They, if I'm not wrong, they are working at managerial levels directly, sort of.
Yes, to some extent, yes, because there are levels to start with. You start at the junior level and then you move ahead and become a partner of a firm or a director of a firm. But yes, to some extent, you are the one, like I mentioned, you are the someone who will talk to these people irrespective of their industries, irrespective of their functions, and make sure as per your skill set and expertise, you are able to give the solutions to anything under the umbrella basically. So I know there are, as a chartered accountant and especially the finance professional, even if you are a CPA or a CFA, you are always bounded by some kind of, there are fields which are just restricted towards an act, or there is something which is bound towards some regulations, but not this field. This field is not that. This field is, you have to know what is in this market, what is the newest thing you can bring about, what is the innovation you can bring about. So today you see maximum number of new tools in the market. You are seeing maximum number of new solutions, and you will be surprised that majority of these solutions are introduced by management consultants. So I can say we are the ones who the market considers as innovators, and making sure even if there is some innovation in the market, that is via one small startup, to make sure that startup innovation comes to the major market through these consultants only. So we are the researchers, we are everything who make sure, who bridge the gap and make sure any big corporate, or like Bhavna, you mentioned that any organization or even a startup today having a problem of that how they can scale up, or maybe handling, like you will be surprised that biggest solutions for COVID-19 has coming from management consultants for a corporate today, because these 2 months, 3 months have disrupted the businesses. Now business CEO doesn't know how to do it. Everybody has an idea, but who will bring them that how can you change the workplace Today, HRs of the companies are equipped, but there are HR consultants who are giving them the best possible solutions that how a workplace can be happy in this situation. So these are the type of things that you are expected to do as a consultant.
Absolutely. I mean, if I take away a few things from what you just said, I think that as people who have been in compliance for all their lives, by compliance, I mean something to do with any set of regulations that a country has defined, auditing or taxation or whatever, I mean, whatever you're doing as a CA, this is a different field because this will you will not have a piece of paper telling you what to do. You will not have a process. You will have maybe a guideline on how you can do it, but adding your house into that bigger how, it is your job. Basically, you need to experiment a lot. You need to find out your ways of doing it, and you have to constantly improvise as you do it. So there's not a fixed set of rules that will guide you on how to do it, how to solve a problem. You have to constantly come up with innovative solutions, innovative ideas. You have to add your 10 bucks to everything that you possibly can, and it needs a lot of out of the box thinking.
Exactly, exactly. So I can say, Bhavna, like you mentioned, that there is a that you don't have to follow the process. The management consultants are the one who makes the process of the companies. So you have to
Absolutely.
frame the process, how the things will work, and how even in the finance, like you can say, how accounting works. That process is sometimes defined by a finance consultant.
Okay, great. Let's come to the next section, what we do.
Yeah. So like I mentioned that today the problem is that everyone is confused. There are a lot of solutions in the market now. Like I said, like I personally talk to some CFO. They say like अगर हम मैं हिंदी यूज करूँ इधर की, उनका मेन प्रॉब्लम होता है यार कॉस्ट बहुत ज्यादा है, हमें अपनी कॉस्टिंग कम करनी है, हमें अपना वो करना है. नाउ देयर इज थिंग कि हम एज अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट कहते हैं हाँ हमने फाइनेंशियल मैनेजमेंट में कॉस्ट अकाउंटिंग पढ़ रखी है, we know how cost works, we know how the things work, but that is not the way you will give the answer to it. You say that okay, costing is high. I think today every CFO I talk to in any company, even a startup, they will say cost is high. That's the major concern. But how will you do that? So that's why the problem now becomes a twofold. There's a major problem. Then now first you have to diagnose the problem. कि cost कहाँ है? That becomes your first step. Now you have to set the baseline. You have to create. You have to develop the cost. You have to study the structure. There is a thing now. Here comes as a finance consultant, there comes the accounting knowledge that you need. Now once that accounting knowledge is applied, then you need financial management knowledge to know that once your PNL is ready, how that is linking it to your share price, and that how it is getting affected. Then there is GST problem with the companies. So first you have to diagnose the problem, and once you diagnose the problem that your CXOs are making, wants you to solve, and then you have to bring a creative solution to it. Now solution can be as easy that is there in the since 30 years in the market, which Indian corporates are not doing but US corporates are doing. You can bring that to the practice. There are firms and companies who have diverse and brilliant database because of new technologies, etc., that we can implement today in India. But sometimes we are expected to work as per the market. Now, I was recently in the last 1 year working for a project for a startup where who is only in India, and that they are unique to India. Now they have some problem of their strategy that they don't know how their marketing campaign should look like. Now I can't just look at, oh, this is a hospitality industry, so I can't just go back to US hospitality and bring back the solution to it. Now I have to think like Indian market. I have to think like who are my customers, who are my dealers. So if my truck driver is a thing that might not be in the US, but here the transportation mainly is done by trucks through nights. So I thought through that, and these become my customers for that company. So all the solutions you have to bring global as well as local variable into the picture, so that you can bring and make a innovative and a creative solution. So that's why in a very simple language, in a one liner, which I think if management consultants are looking, and they will literally say that this is not a simple solution, but in one line, what we do is we diagnose the problem and then we put through give them the solution.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great definition, great explanation of what management consultants do. let's talk about what kind of industries basically management consultants are working. They will be working, and what kind of you can say opportunities you can expect.
Yes. So basically, the slide you are seeing in your on your screens now, consulting is divided into two parts. One, it's a mapping, like you can say that there are industry specialists and there are functional specialists. Now, as a chartered accountant, you are expected, or you are the easiest course of action for you to enter is to be a finance consultant, because even if you are coming from the fields of taxation, audit, or you're changing your field, it becomes a it becomes a natural transition into the field of management consultant as a finance consultant. But this field can gives a plethora of opportunities for you as a fresher. As a fresher, the management consulting firms today doesn't want a chartered accountant to focus purely on the finance bit. They give you an option. You have an option to work in the finance, but they give you an option to become an oil and gas specialist. Now, within oil and gas, they expect you to work in finance as well. They give you option to develop the supply chain as well. So what I can say, Bhavna, that as you grow up the ladder in the process, how a sweet spot, or I like you said, develop a specialization is somewhere where you can link between these industries and function. So like somebody who's a director of a company would become a director of finance as well as automotive industry. So again, this is uh, what I'm bringing here. The chart is not exhaustive. Every company has different fields depending upon their businesses, but most of the companies follows like consumer products or FMCG companies as one of the industries. When oil and gas, government agencies, some companies like Big Four, state government are separate from management consulting, but some includes in the MC division only. Then there is healthcare industries, manufacturing, some keeps it separate, some includes automobile as part of manufacturing, some keeps it separate. So these are the industry classifications that depends upon the company to company basis. Now, one of the key points I want to focus on this is the last bit on the left hand side is the digital part. Now, as a digital consultant, there are a lot in the market, but what now in today's market, that especially since the last 3 years, I've been to this consulting market, we are expected to bring digital solutions, even if we are a finance professional, even if we are a oil and gas professional, because this is how through digitalization, because the world is moving too fast, we need to be digitally equipped enough and be automated. So we bring process automation. We develop processes where, like, can I give an example? It might take a minute or two, but the
Yeah.
example is like today, how an accounting is done. You get accounts payable working, invoice comes, then somebody checks the invoice, checks GRN and other part, and posts the journal entry into the system, and you do three-way match. And this is how a traditional finance, accounts payable, journal ledger works in together. But now, what as a consultant you can bring into this thing? First, you need to understand the process, of course. Second part is today companies don't want so many people or manual interventions. So they now want, when the invoice comes, a person enter into the system and that invoice value, GST column field, and as soon as you scan the invoice, it gets automatically posted. There is no human being sitting and posting what is debit, what is credit. So this is how industry is moving. Industry is moving in such a way that today manual interventions are becoming lower and lower. And even we see, we are a finance professional, but today we are expected to know the latest tools in the market, latest digitalization in the market, so that we can bring our clients the top-notch solution. And to be honest, if we save them $50 million, then only they will give us $5 million as fees. So you have to, if you have to earn more, you have to give solutions like that.
Definitely, definitely. I think the part where we can mix and match the industry as well as the functions. If I talk about functions, there is supply chain, there is finance, there is HR, there is I think that's digital arena. There's also marketing, but then of course there are industries where you can exercise these functions in. You could be in consumer products, oil and gas, government, automotive, healthcare, private equity, towards more investment firms are there, There are different functions there. So, like you mentioned, I mean, there are a plethora of opportunities for anybody who wants to venture into management consultancy, and bringing value to the table is the gist, in terms of money, in terms of solutions, in terms of, I think, can we put it like this कि यार यहाँ पे जो दिखता है वही बिकता है, right?
To some extent, yes.
Right?
So
So it's also very
exactly,
important
क्योंकि
how
आज
you present your solution, I think. If I just say.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So basically, like you mentioned, that even if you are working in a particular industry and you think that we are bound by that industry and what is our exit option, here comes consulting. Here comes consulting because you can become a specialist in that particular sector. Even if today you are working for FMCG companies, today consulting wants consulting companies wants that there is a FMCG specialist who understands the market and who can bring new solutions. So they appreciate the experience you bring from other industries, and that's how a professional who is looking to switch the field in management consultancy can come about. Obviously, if you bring a knowledge of a specialized function like a finance for a CA and working for an oil and gas company today, so you will be really appreciated and you will be paid as well to bring your expertise in that regard.
Absolutely, yes. Let's come to another section where we'll be talking about who are the major employers and who are the major people who are bringing value to the table.
Yes. So basically, consulting, there are a lot of consulting firms. I think everybody have seen in the job portals, etc., that XYZ Consulting, etc. But let's talk about who are the big players, who are like the tier one people present. So if I say tier one, these are the MBBs. MBB stand for McKinsey, BCG, and Bain. BCG stands for Boston Consulting Group. All these three are MNCs. They operate their Indian division as well. They offer their Indian consulting as well. But they are basically into US market, they're into Europe, they're into Japan's, and they are regarded as the ones that the dream company that every consultant wants to work with. So we will discuss all the benefits coming forward in the slides. But right now, these are one of the tier one firms that is the aspirational value. Then comes the tier two firms like Accenture Strategies, AT Kearney's, and there are some boutique firms. Why I have clubbed them? Because boutique firms are the ones who are the top leaders in their own way. Like Alvarez is mainly major presence in Middle Eastern market. So depending upon the markets where you are, depending upon your specialization, there are thousands of there are one or two consulting firms present in India. I know I haven't mentioned them, but these are oil and gas specialists. So the chart we showed, there are consulting firms who have niche in everything, and then they becomes a boutique firms in this regard. Then we have big fours. Big fours, like everybody, I think every chartered accountant knows that they are the pioneers of taxation audit. But you will be surprised, one of the major revenue angles for these firms comes from management consulting. If I say that it competes like always with taxation and audit for the firm's revenue. Even if you can look at their balance sheets of a Deloitte or a PwC, especially in overseas market, consulting is one of their major revenue piece. And then we come to the tech consulting bit. So tech consulting, we have all these firms which are both international as well as Indian. But you will be surprised that the chart that we discussed last slide is also applicable for these firms as well, even if these are technology consultants. So if you are working with SAP as a consultant, so you can be a finance consultant with SAP as well. So it doesn't mean that these are tech consulting and these companies are not for you. I know personally, I have friends in Infosys Consulting and TCS who are working specialized in finance division or their accounting piece as a consultant to third parties. So in this way, I think these are the big players who where I think one should aspire to go to, who pays big amounts and who are specialists in their own regard. So you can research a lot more depending upon your specialty, that what all firms are famous for what. So I think then that's a separate discussion altogether.
Right. I think so, guys. What Saurabh has highlighted out here, that if you're starting out in management consultancy, these are the firms that you want to go for. These are the firms that you want to target. But you know, Saurabh, what I feel, I mean, I have a personal question here. With all the Atmanirbhar wave that's going on, you know, very few companies in this chart are Indian or are local. Do you think that with vocal for Google, what did I say? Vocal for local companies. A new set of companies will emerge as leaders in management consultancy or in any other field, or we can look forward to people who are just starting out and they're trying to build a brand in consultancy in India, and they'll be successful in doing it in the next 5 years or 10 years or 20 years down the line if they're starting out now.
Yeah, that's the case as well. Vamna, you are right that because of the localization importance that is going through, and as well as I know that, since let's be very honest, management consulting field is not new. This is the field that has been present for decades, but during the last decade, it has just emerged like anything. So the point is that there are people, there are small firms, there are niche firms that are there. Maybe you are right. It's time for those niche firms to grow out of their comfort zone and to go into like a oil and gas can today go for government tenders as well. So there are Indian oil and gas companies that are present, consulting firms that can reach out for startups now. Now, one of the major things I want to highlight is that even if the McKinseys of the world, the BCGs and the Bains of the world are overseas parent company, have overseas parent country, but these are pretty much local. Why I say these are pretty much local? Because there is McKinsey India, who consults only Indian companies, who provides solutions to all the Indian companies and big conglomerates. There is Deloitte, which everybody knows has their headquarters maybe in overseas market, but there is a Deloitte India which hires exclusively chartered accountants from India, who prefer in fact chartered accountants from India, and then they give consulting to governments as well. I have personally have friends who have consulted Maharashtra government working for Deloitte as well. So in this way, you can see that even if the localization comes through, but these companies are smart enough. They have already built their Indian subsidiaries who work exclusively in India, who give taxes in India. So I don't think that the industry dynamics will change much, but you are right in terms of emergence of new companies or new consulting companies with, because government is emphasizing a lot in developing new. So maybe an entrepreneur today listening, you can develop your consulting firms. In fact, I would like to say that I have an entrepreneurship experience. I tried my own consulting firm, didn't work out to that much extent, but to be honest, you can always do it and be successful in today's market.
Right. I think there's a lot of importance that's being given to local products, local companies, emerging businesses. So, this is your time mostly to capitalize on the opportunity. And if you're someone who's really passionate, or passionate is a very heavy term, actually, if you're really inclined or interested towards this area where you like to provide solutions to problems, they could be any kind of problems. If you like provide solutions to problems, then this might be your thing. Food for thought. Coming to opportunities in India, we mentioned global opportunities. Now let's talk about particularly in India. We'll quickly go through this slide.
Yeah, so why I mentioned this as, because one of the things that we work in Indian market is that we are the global service providers. We thrive on it. People say Chinese are the manufacturing hub, we are the service market, and one of the major reason is this, what you are seeing on your screen. Now here I have mentioned same companies that we have shown in the previous slide, but these are their knowledge center or support teams that sits in India but supports their US clients, they supports their maybe Japan clients or Asia Pacific, so non-Indian clients. So being a young employee, you have an option in India to work for these biggest of consulting firms, may not be as a front end consultant, but as a support consultant. So as a support consultant, let me tell you, it's not that difficult to enter these. Like we will discuss that entering tier one is like a huge challenge. there is a selection process that is one of the most tedious in the world. So, but entering these these support teams for BCG, for Accenture Capability Network, Bain Capability Network, McKinsey, even Deloitte, USIs. One, this is slightly easy to enter. Even as a graduate, a BCom honors, you can enter at the entry level. Second, uh, Second, it gives you an opportunity for an overseas career as well in longer run. So if you work for a US client or a Asia Pacific or a Middle Eastern client, you can always become a specialist and then seek opportunities in these markets in future. So if you are working exclusively for North American markets, US, Canada, in coming years, and maybe if the immigration laws are getting easier for some countries, that gives you a dynamic advantage going into these markets in future, because you have already have hands-on experience working with the companies present there.
Yeah, agreed, absolutely. If we talk about career growth when it comes to management consultancy, what kind of opportunities can you look forward to in the next 10 years or 15 years?
So here we will talk about how will you enter management consulting and how will you exit it, and what will be your period or duration or tenure, to be honest, on it. The chart you are seeing, again, non-exhaustive. There are big fours I know who have 8 levels instead of 5 levels I have shown here, and there are companies I know they have 5 or 6 levels only to become the partner or a managing director. So the initial part of your career in every consulting, especially as a fresher, you start as an analyst. You start as an analyst for, and you remain an analyst for a couple of years. Now, analyst, you starting in a big four, in a support like a USI market or a US market, can be at a graduation level, or a chartered accountant fresher can also start at an analyst level for a top tier firm. Also, as you grow, and if you are a 1 or 2 years into the market, you can start as an associate consultant level as well, which is a next level. So if you are looking to change your field after a couple of years, or you have 3 to 4 years of experience, you can expect and you can actually ask from the companies for an associate consultant level from the companies instead of an analyst level. So as you can see that your career starts at an analyst level, you become an associate consultant or a consultant, and or sometimes in a company then a consultant. Sometimes consultant is a third level in some companies. Then you become managers, then you become senior managers, and finally, depending upon your company, you can become a partner or a managing director. So in that way, I think the career progression, we can see that within any person within 10 to 15 years range can expect to be at the top level if he is performing at a good level, at a decent level, and he is a top performer in some years at least. So you can expect to become from analyst to partners. In fact, I have seen my partner in one of the big four became partner in 13 years from the starting. So that is pretty much a reasonable thing. And you can see, if you start your career at early 20s, so by middle of 30s, you can be a partner of a firm even.
That's a huge feat. I think 13 years is a good time to good. I mean, it's a great time to reach the partner level there.
Exactly. So point is that you can obviously, that it's an optimistic thing that I'm talking about, but you can always go around 15, 20 years as well, which is quite normal, because at the higher levels there are no time limit per se to promote and get promoted.
Definitely. Let's talk about a few key skills that a person who's wanting to venture into consultancy should be possessing beforehand, or maybe developing those skills over time. How is it like?
So main part that I have clubbed today is into the three parts. One is the technical information. Now I know chartered accountants today say that, oh, we are very technical. We understand at least their field. We are the most technically sound. We are much better than the MBA finance today. We are, some even have the I don't want to say audacity, but I want to say confidence that they can say they are better than CFAs in some extent as well, to which I agree in terms of some fields. You can't be a blanket statement. But today, technical skills I am talking about is, today consulting has moved much ahead of a normal technical skill. Today, consulting has moved toward actually technological fields. Now, if I say that today, as a CA, when I entered the market, I was expected to make a PPT in the first instance, and the level of PPT I made on my first day to the ones that were present was not even comparable at that time. So, and that's what I am talking about, working with the big four. But if you work in a top tier MBB, you will be like thrown out of that thing if you prepared a basic level of PPT in the start. So there are certain expectations with the type of companies. Now, why I want to focus on technical first and then come to the next part is because today you need to know about the tools that are present. You need to know what are dashboards. The only VLOOKUP in Excel is not good enough. You now need to know more than that, right? So there are various courses, there are various online tools. You can enroll yourself, you can equip yourself going through. Obviously you will brush up your actual technical skills of your field, but you have to have the knowledge of the latest trends that are going around, because then only the selection becomes easier. Now what I want to talk about, being a CA, it's not difficult to enter management consulting like it seems like. Everybody wants to say that we are very good in audit, it's easier to enter into taxation, because these are the fields you're not competing with anybody. Let's be very honest. You are the ones you're competing amongst themselves. But in management consulting, you are competing with the top tier of MBA firms, MBAs from India, from Ivy Leagues, from CFAs, CPAs, and maybe another any degree that is present as a specialist in international market as well. So in that way, the competition suddenly increases within CAs to different fields. So that's why you need to know these tools as well, because today our MBA from IIM Ahmedabad will bring all these tools to the table because that's part of their curriculum. Now you are not studying, if you are not enrolling into MBA, then you need to develop these things from outside.
Understood, absolutely. I mean, I think this is a more skill driven world than a degree driven world. So you can't rely on a degree to give you the skills or the knowledge or the learning or the experience that you're looking forward to. Because this kind of a job will require you to network, it will require you to present yourself, it will require you to make PPT, it will require you to have hand on skills which other people will not have, right? And of course, like you mentioned it correctly, and I think we recently made a video on MBA where we talked about this, that a full-time course gives you much better knowledge, much better experience and insights into these skills, definitely. But if you're not going for a full-time course, as a chartered accountant, you've been sticking to the books, you definitely have great technical knowledge. But what technical knowledge? The kind of laws that you've studied, the regulations that you've gone through, the auditing standards, accounting standards, this is the technical knowledge you possess. But do you really read about finance and economics? Do you read the newspaper daily, or do you equip yourself with the knowledge that will help you have an edge over the other chartered accountants or other professionals who are there? So developing these skills, maintaining these habits, I think that's extremely, extremely important, and especially in a job like this.
Yeah, and that's what, like what you just mentioned is, I will come to the part of the Farman, if you can go back to the next part only,
Yeah, sure.
the last part.
Yes, yes.
So like you mentioned, that's why I want to bring about the market information part as well and the networking part, because I will just link it with the chart quickly, that if you want to develop a sector specialization, that can't comes from books, that you need to develop reading a lot, working in certain type of things. And to develop these skills, do not be shy away to connect people to a wonderful source like LinkedIn, which is giving you a plethora, and you get to know who is working as where. Imagine 10 years back, there was no such tool. You have to physically collect business cards of everybody and maybe connect with them on emails or SMS them. So now there are opportunities, there are webinars which have come up during this COVID time, one of the blessings of this COVID time. So don't shy away from attending these. If you are free, if you are waiting from some results, if you are waiting for a job to begin, go and attend seminars once the market is open. You will network a lot. So because you have to understand, you will be presenting to a CXO. So you have to be presentable not only in terms of their looks, that is one of the major part of being a good management consultant, but also in terms of the way you speak, the way you handle your tools, the way you are confident, the number of people you know. So in that way, I think that That's what you will cover the whole horizon once you are covering both technical market information as well as the network.
That's right, my friends. If you have made it so far, let me tell you that you need to subscribe to the channel and like this video. We're coming up with more slides on this particular field, the pros, the cons, and who should venture into it, how you should go about it. Let's again start talking about. Yes, Saurabh. So you, as a professional who's already worked a lot into this field, you've already been into management consultancy. What are the things that you think people should consider before getting into it? The pros.
So I will like to now talk about the things that I think the people will be most attracted to. One, the immense exposure. Immense exposure, like I will tell you that I have talked to one of the India's richest businessmen. I have my friends presenting as a management consultant in front of, I would say, I would not like to say the name, but I would like to say they are the richest oil and gas company, or the biggest oil and gas company in India, and he might be the most powerful man in this country in terms of business. So you meet with these people regularly. You talk to CFOs of the company, and they talk to you about your problems regularly. So in this time, you have a FaceTime with them, with whom the politicians and the film stars sometimes don't want, doesn't get it. So you are understanding that the level of exposure at your highest levels is immense. Again, the next point, learning is never ending in this field. You can't learn management consulting through a book. You have to have latest knowledge. A 40-year-old guy today will not will only become head of a division if he's versed with the latest trends. Gone are the days you read something in books and you can implement it. This is not that way. That you read some amendments and you can be versed with the latest thing. This is the field where you need to know what is happening in the Japanese market, so that today is it relevant for India, and you can compare. You can do benchmarking. Obviously, I would say management consulting, especially in the top tier domain, is one of the highest paid. I know people wants to talk about investment bankers, that they are the highest paid in the market, but management consultants, if I may say, especially in Indian market, is not behind management consultants. They are, sorry, the investment bankers, they might be at par to some extent. And of course, when you are a partner of a firm, then the moolah can go about in crores easily. Uh, Again, the one of the major pros that I mentioned last is the travel and the lifestyle bit. Now you can earn a lot of money, but in management consulting, especially the front end consultants, you are expected to fly a lot. You are expected to today sitting in Delhi, you are expected to be tomorrow in Mumbai. Next day you are expected to be in Kolkata. You get best in class flight tickets. You get best in class hotels. You have, I can say that working with one of the tier two firms, I have stayed in five-star hotels longer than my home last year. So in this way, you understand that the travel and the lifestyle bit is is something that you aspire to. You go to Marriott's of the world, you go to Taj, Lalit, you can stay there. The companies are paying you to stay there to serve your clients. So you can see these are the lucration that management consulting brings about.
Okay, I think that's a lot to consider. And for someone who's wanting a business lifestyle like that, I think that this is a great thing for you to aspire for. Now, let's talk about the cons because we have discussed what are the benefits. Let's also talk about what might be the cons of this particular situation and profile.
So I will say, if you have to earn that pros, you have to sacrifice something. Now, to sacrifice something, mostly it comes with your work-life balance. You are expected to be on call. You are expected to be at client side 12 to 14 hours a day. It and that's an average level. You are expected to be working on weekends to some extent. This is not a job that Friday evening you will finish. You are expected to be, because you have to improve your skill set. Even if you don't have work, you have to be improve your skill set on Saturday Sunday as well. so that next week you are equipped to deal with the problem in hand. Obviously that brings a lot of stress. There is, like I mentioned, there are 4 stars, 5 stars, there are flights, so you have to travel a lot. You have to travel a lot, you have to be away from your family a lot, especially once you grow into your age and the family bit. Then it becomes a extremely hard job, because you have to spend Monday to Friday at a hotel, come back Saturday, Sunday to your home, and fly early Monday again. So it becomes every week you have to take 2 flights minimum in that way. So your health sometimes sacrifice, your family time sacrifice, your me time sacrifice, and obviously when you are working in a top tier firm, the job security comes as the always a question mark if you are not delivering, if you are not, because they are paying you a lot, they are giving you all the benefits you need. Now they expect your work to be a top notch, they expect you to be linked with it. So if you are, it is even mediocre, sometimes the job security is extremely difficult. And I think that this is with every field. Even if you talk to any investment banker, he will actually say the same word, that that the job security becomes a question if you are not performing even at a mediocre level. Then the third point is lack of flexibility, in the sense that at the junior most level of being a management consultant, you have plethora of options. But once you become a specialist at a maybe 5 or 10 years down into the career as an oil and gas specialist or a manufacturing, then it becomes slightly difficult to move to another field, because then you are recognized in the market as one particular specialist. And now if you want to change your career or something, market will not appreciate, especially in India, that part.
Okay, great. If we talk about opportunities, Saurabh, what do you think people can look forward to?
uh, So, I mean, like I mentioned that this is a function and the feed related thing. So, like one of the major things is if you are working as a strategy consultant, giving strategy advices or working in a particular industry, you can always go to corporate of India or corporate global or MNC and become a head of department there, head of a particular function. So, if you have been a supply chain director, I have seen supply chain director become head of or a COO even easily. Another point is that you can always become a project manager, because as you go up the ladder, become managers, etc. The corporates today works on projects. They don't, or a cases. They don't work in a regular lifestyle. Today with agile and other methodologies, every work is divided into small projects. So as a project manager, there's a huge demand today. Even in startups today, a management consultant is preferred over a normal corporate guy today, because a management consultant become an apex specialist if you're working for Japan, Thailand, Hong Kong, Singapore. So you can always relocate in a longer run and become a global consultant.
Yeah. So I had a question here. What was there in my mind that people are focusing on working remotely so much. I mean, this might be the new normal. If we talk about management consultancy as a freelancer, you've already mentioned that on the slide, but also as a freelancer, how can you begin with it?
I think one of the major things is you develop some skill set. Now, I know that there are freelance consultants today working with the big consulting firms and offering their services into the arena that a big consulting firms may not have time for it or a skill set for it. Like I give you a very small example. Now, if a consulting company is working for a global client or an Indian client, in fact, and they want to see that let's compare what is best in the market. So we need data sources, or we need at least 5 or 6 companies to compare. Or like if X is working like how, Y is working like how, Z is working like how. As a freelancer, you can offer these services to the big corporates that or the big consulting firms and say that I will bring you the benchmarking. I will bring you such information for it. Now, how you bring about it is depends upon again on your networking skills. It depends upon your how much skill set or tools you need. Suddenly, now you are the expert working on Bloomberg software. Now, a consultant sitting there has to learn Bloomberg. So In that way, if you have more skill set present, you can offer your services to as a small consultant, or as a particular individual service to a particular corporate, or even to these big consulting firms.
So, what will be your top two skills if I talk about, or two softwares that would be your preference for someone to learn to start out as a freelance management consultant?
I think I will mention two big fields. One is the research field, that I think one should develop some skills, because today information, data is everything today. Data is the money today. Now, how you can analyze data first, how you can bring the data. A research field will bring the data. You can talk to people. If suppose taking an example, Bhavna, today you know 20 different people working in 20 different industry. Now you are one of the major source of data. If somebody has to approach you and say, Bhavna, we need the information from 6 different companies, and suddenly you know that out of these 6 companies, you have 5 companies where your friends are sitting or your network is sitting. It is so easy for you to get that thing which a big company is struggling to get the data of, right? So the data do not be a confidential data. Sometimes the data can be as simple as number of employees working. The number of employees working for a non-listed company is a difficult thing to find out, right? But somebody has to compare. HR consultant might have to compare. So now you can bring certain field because of your network and your skill set. Second, I will say, is the technical skills in terms of tool skills, as well as the PPT skills. Everything is the presentation. You need to learn how you can present yourself. You have to develop your case study skills a lot. You have to, because once you are working in a lot of case study, you will expect what kind of a problems that you are coming into the limelight. I would say case studies are one of the major things that you can study, you can prepare for, so that today what has happened 10 to 20 years down the line in Unilever might happen to Indian company in next 2 years, right? So in this way, you will get the best that it has already happened in the market. If you don't know, if you are not prepared, suddenly a question comes into the market, and like today pandemic, nobody was ready. But maybe somebody down the line, if somebody has prepared something as a pandemic as one of the fields to study, then today he would have been a millionaire maybe in that regard.
Agreed, agreed. Okay, so here's your link. This is the link of Saurabh's email. You can definitely email him if you have any more questions, any queries. If you wish to connect with him personally, I will be linking Saurabh's LinkedIn ID in the description box below. So if you have any more questions, definitely you can reach out to Saurabh. Now, let me just stop sharing. I think we have had some great insights, Saurabh, that what is management consultancy and what you can look forward to when you are trying to get into management consultancy. Yes, hello guys. Sorry for the lag in between. We are continuing the video from henceforth. We could not complete it in one recording, so let's go at it. So yes, Saurabh, we were talking about how chartered accountants, as freshers or as professionals who are experienced into a certain field but want to venture into different kind of a profile, they can. And actually, why just chartered accountants? Let's talk about any professional for that matter. How they can manage to get into management consultancy for a start. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I think the one of the easier way to get into, especially for finance professionals, will be to enter into the big four, because, and especially for the people who have already done their internship or articleship, depending upon their courses, into the big four, because that is the domain where after completing your articleship of 3 to 3.5 years, you can always switch your line from an audit or tax, where you mostly do your articleship, to a management consulting service line. Now, why I say it's easy, because like we have discussed in the previous slides about the charts, about the where you can always enter into the CFO consulting. Now, in CFO consulting, we have various divisions. Like within it, we have accounting consultancy, we have financial management, we have shared service setup. So that is an easier transition for the people of finance profession to get into it. Of course, if you have others qualifications, like if you are coming with an MBA, if you are coming with a CPA, so then you can always enter into the sectoral fields as well, where you can come into it as a strategy and operations consultant for the people who are 1 or 2 years into their career into a specific industry, especially who are coming from corporates. It is easier transition to enter into a strategy role for a corporate for a sector consulting. So if you are coming from a healthcare, let's suppose you are working in a healthcare company, you should come in as a healthcare consultant. And then of course, as you go down the progressive career growth, you can choose your supply as a supply chain consultant, or you can be a finance healthcare consultant. So in this way, I think a professional, a young student, or a person who is looking to change the stream have to bring in the coherence between what they're currently doing and what type of consulting they would be good in it. And I think the market also, or the corporates also, appreciate that. They will be more willing to accept you. It's easier for you to crack the interviews as well in this way, because you have certain background about it. So if a fresh CA coming into it who has studied eight subjects during his or her CA final, he can always choose about that. Yes, you have done your audit, but you are greatly interested in accounting and IFRS, and so you can be an accounting consultant, which comes under a management consulting service line of CFO advice.
So we got to know about how freshers or experienced professionals into different areas can get into this field. You need to decide yourself, network, and accordingly, apply for these kind of jobs. And a lot of your skills will come into play here, because this is a job that will require you to be interactive. It will require you to be aware. It will require you to be flexible with travel. So somewhere we've already talked about those skills. You can rewind and see for yourself if you want to get or want to see again. But now let's come to the question where we talk about the packages. So Saurabh, for a fresher who's joining this kind of a role, or for an experienced professional, say 5-year experienced professional who's switching into this kind of a role, what do you think can they expect in terms of money?
So, Bhavna, the money here or the pay packages here vary a lot on the type of companies you enter into. So, let's suppose you are entering into the at the level of a CA fresher, or a person with 1 or 2 years of experience. You come as a associate consultant in a Big Four, or maybe as at a MBB level, you come with 2 to 3 years and then become an associate consultant, because they offers you an analyst as a fresher. So on that way, an associate consultant of a Big Four earns anywhere between like 8 to 15 lakhs of a package, or 8 to 12 lakhs, and then goes on to become consultant in a 1.5 to 2 years time, and then the pay package is around 12 to 16 lakhs. But MBB associate consultant earns around 25 lakhs. So in that way, the pay package discrepancies are huge. If you are working in a sector specialist tier 2 or a niche firm, the pay package is somewhere in between. Most of the consultants earn at the level of 2 to 3 years, or less than 4 years, I should say, around 18 to 20 lakhs of their packages. Once you move ahead, you become managers of the company. The pay packages, again, ballpark figure ranges around 30 to 50 lakhs somewhere. So if you are into the top tier firms, you are earning around 50 to 60 lakh. But if you are amongst the lower end consulting, etc., you are still expected to around 30 lakhs or 25 to 30 lakhs in your CTC at least. So as you move ahead, and of course, these are like the part of CTCs. If you are into the better companies, they offer you many benefits as well. You have a better insurance plan for your families. You have not just in-hand salary, but you have like mobile reimbursements. You can buy a new handset at the company's way. You get the better laptops to work into if you go to a better consulting companies, right? So on that front, I think there are some benefits that might not you have. Like I can say, tell you today, right now, COVID situation, so not many offsites are happening. But if you go to the best of the class, the offsites, even if you are working in India, happens overseas. I know one of the firm which make sure that their 200 people team travel to Dubai for the offsite. Somebody traveled to Singapore. Uh, Most of the companies in India go to Goa for offsite. So these are kind of benefits, or kind of, even if your salaries are limited, the companies make sure that they are the good place to work into. So they give non-monetary benefits a lot. So in that way, unlike a Indian corporate where the benefit is mainly around the pay package or the salary in hand, here the CTC comprises of lot of other things that comes in. So you have to be a little smarter when you are negotiating with the HR while entering into this.
Awesome. So, guys, let me, now that we've talked about these, you can say non monetary perquisites, let me give you a quick comparison of, big fours into a typical taxation or auditing role, or maybe non big fours into these top notch consulting firms. Uh, you might think at this point of time that these are more materialistic things, better laptop, better phones, or better offsites. For those who don't know, offsites are paid, you can say, office vacations when the company takes you out. On their expense. So you might think that at this point of time this is a little materialistic, but let me tell you, when you are in a consulting role, even if it is uh, something as basic as finance or auditing or taxation or a different consultancy, doing that job over and over again kind of gets a little boring after a point of time. So things like these like kind of motivate you. Apart from that, it is also helping you build a brand for yourself. So when you are representing your company in meetings, when you're just sitting and working in a cafe, it's you're constantly representing your personal brand, right? So these things seem materialistic in the beginning, but they do matter in the long term for a professional who are willing to go beyond their corporate job, build a brand for themselves, and take their own personal brand to next level. Because ultimately, working in any job, you'll after exhausting whatever you had to learn and whatever you had to exhaust in that job, you will need to move to a higher role, a higher company, a higher package, whatever. So you're already constantly looking for growth. So these are the elements that may contribute to your growth in the longer term. Talking about packages, a typical manager in a big four will earn in an auditing job maybe will earn around 20 to 22 lakhs, somewhat between that range in a big four after 5 years. And like Saurabh mentioned, in a consulting firm this figure can go up to what 30, 35, 40 lakhs depending on where you work and what you work on. So yes, this is a quick comparison of a big four and a top consulting firm. Saurabh, you want to make any addition to it?
Yeah, so basically, like you rightly mentioned, building your brand is certainly very important. Also, I think this gives you most of the time consultants are at the client side and working in their small teams of 5 or 6 people or 3 or 4 people who goes on to an assignment. But mainly what happens is this gives you an opportunity to even network with your own firm. You don't know who's your partner. Sometimes you are interacting with one partner, but there are multiple partners, multiple managers, multiple field. So suppose today you are working as a in a finance field, but you are really interested in going to oil and gas. There lies this opportunity to meet in person, face to face with the oil and gas head or oil and gas managers. So then you can network during these things, and you can, like you said, build a brand within a firm as well, because the firms are pretty huge. So it's there are a lot of people working even on the same floor. You will have like around 50 chartered accountants working together. You will have 50 MBAs from top notch B schools working together. So you might not have a chance to know face to face or by name basis with everybody. So on these bases, a networking in this field becomes very important.
Understood, absolutely. Okay. Okay, so coming to the main segment now, what I really believe in is that you should enter a role that will complement your personality and your skills and where you see yourself in the longer term. So, sort of, if I ask you from your experience, what are you can say what are the right kind of people who should be entering into management consultancy role if they want to prosper in the longer term?
I think management consulting as a field, like I have already discussed, etc., is for the people who really wants to explore the uncharted territory, who likes to work in a environment where everything new is happening. Said in the starting, it is not bounded by a particular act, or it is not bounded by a particular set of rules. You have to take care of those, as well as might be if you are working in India, then also you have to take care of what SEC in USA is doing. So there are multiple things you have to keep in factor. Every day something new is coming. So it's for the people who likes change. This is the field which is changing as fast as what technology is changing in the world. You have to be the one who have to advise the CFOs or the CEOs of the companies that what is changing around you and how you can bring it into the best practices. So in that way, it's for the people who like to network a lot, who likes change, who are not resistant to change, who loves to travel a lot because it will burn you out traveling every week to new place. So like I said, there are pros and cons of these features of consultancy, but I think one of the major things is be flexible, be adaptive. The people who are looking not just to do day to day jobs, but for the people who wants to their job, because every project, every case, every assignment is different here. If you are working on a planning budgeting, in one case you are expected to work in the financial transformation in the another field, in on the another project. So in that way, one has to be really flexible. Sometimes it happens when you are working, you become really good in one particular thing, but suddenly the company or the managers or the partners of the firm tell you now you are expected to do this. People become little bit resistant to that because people says I am already good in it, I have to learn a new skill towards it. This is the field where you have to do it, because you face clients problems every day. So you have to be in the nature of problem solving, somebody who wants to give solutions, who likes riddles or a confusing problem and want to give a solution to it. So like I said, it's not an easy job, that's the main crux. But for someone who enjoys problem solving, who is flexible, who wants to change in their life to be constant, who likes to travel, meet new people, for them this becomes a really good field. But again, like I said, it's a high burnout field like any investment banking or private equity is. But again, but I feel like that it again depends on the person to person. If a person is extrovert, he or she is flexible, wants to change, wants to especially work in a dynamic environment where you have, even when you become a senior, even if you are a 40-year-old person, then also you are expected to learn new things. This is not the field where you become boss and then you will say I know everything of my department, then there would be juniors who will complete your work. You are expected to know at the even if whatever age you are.
Saurabh, will you tell us briefly about your experience in this strategy consulting role that you've been working in so far? For all the young people who are trying to get into this, what can they expect for themselves?
So I'll tell you, I am one of the person who started as a banker and then moved to a consulting domain. So shifting a domain is always a challenge. So ever since I have been into consulting, I would say not even one project of mine have been similar with each other. So I started with the financial transformation for a French-based company, their operations in India, to make sure their financial operations are right. Then I helped the largest startup of travel startup to help them get listed in their US exchange, making sure their books of accounts are ready as per the templates. Then I moved to working with one of the biggest hospitality unicorns of India, improving their finance processes, making sure that their processes are tied up with each other. I've worked with a Thailand-based agricultural company, making sure that their you can say that their HR processes, their accounting processes, and then their supply chain processes all are in sync with each other. Everybody is talking to each other and automate. Then I have been into a cost reduction project with the automobile manufacturer of India, to making sure that their cost gets reduced at different levels, and you can go into the zero based budgeting in longer run. So I think it's been a like I said, every project is different. Every day it's a new learning, and it's like I was traveling a lot during last year, but point is that you learn a lot. You have to go into, as you go grow into the career, you have to go into the sales field or kind of a business development field as well, where you start pitching to new clients. You help your partners pitch to new clients by preparing the sales deck, etc., based upon your past case knowledges. So in that way, like I mentioned, every day it's been new. If you write really an exciting job to be it with the there's a cut, there is a stringent timelines with these projects, there are lack of resources, you always feel that how can a three people do a 5 people job or a 6 people job. But that's the fun of it, you are pushed a lot, but it has its incentives, both monetary and non-monetary. So worth while to be in this field and make. I think the time makes it better, as I can say.
Awesome. It was amazing to hear your experience. And guys, I think that you have gotten a lot of insights of what management consultancy role is all about. I'm going to link Saurabh's LinkedIn profile URL in the description box below. So don't forget to message him in case you like this video. Also, you can connect with both of us personally, definitely, but do comment and tell us that how you like this video and what is the kind of content or what are the profiles that you want me to cover in the future. Yes, I think that would be it. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for giving us your time, for telling everything about your experience and your expertise.
Thank you, Bhavna, for having me. Thank you, everyone. I hope I can bring some knowledge into this vast field. You can connect with me both on LinkedIn. You can message me and you can email me even. And I will be happy to have your questions, queries, maybe suggestions. And if you are in this field, very happy to connect with you as well. Also, I would like you to subscribe, like Bhavna's channel, who's working really hard in bringing to you different options. I hope was able to help her and other people and you guys as an audience in bringing one of the field as an option for your career. And I think Bhavna is bringing a lot many professionals, so encourage her so that she can continue this bit as long as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, you were a great value addition. Or guys, do not forget फिर से like, share, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned. We are coming up with more videos on different profiles. Stay safe. Take care, and bye bye.